The search for a scapegoat is the easiest of all hunting expeditions. Please remember, I am not a financial advisor.
Involvement in a cyber attack against some kind of a meat processing plant. But in the meantime, our proposal to start negotiations in this area are being turned down. This is some kind of nonsense, but that's exactly what's been happening. I repeat one more time. It is my hope that we will be able to start engaging in positive work in this area. In terms of what's to be afraid of, why is it that we suggest agreeing on something? Because what people can be afraid of in America, the very same thing can be a danger to us. US is a high-tech country. NATO has declared cyberspace an area of combat. That means they are planning something. They are preparing something. So obviously, this cannot but worry us.
NATO has declared cyberspace an area of combat. And according to Putin, that means that they're planning something, that they're preparing for something, and that is worrying to Putin. There is a cybersecurity narrative unfolding. The energy grid, supply chains, meat processing plants have been the target of ransomware attacks. Mainstream media has made Russia and Bitcoin the focal points of these attacks. We're living in an age of a fundamental technological revolution. Distributed systems that can't be hacked like the legacy systems. We have watched organizations like Hyperledger and R3 create enterprise and government-ready platforms that are ready to go live, and now a narrative to usher in these platforms is unfolding. The central banks have foreshadowed these cyber attacks years ago, and now they're coming to fruition. There is a technological Cold War, a race, and digital currencies are a part of this war. The U.S. has the upper hand with the world reserve currency, but sanctions and high debt are weakening its position. Digital currencies enable nations to bypass the SWIFT system and settle outside of the U.S.'s control. If powerhouses like China and Russia start to move, the rest of the world will follow and divide the world. The world wants a level playing field and the U.S. wants to be dominant. The question is, can this happen peacefully?
Considering all these geopolitical threats, we think that we should have different structure of our reserves than other countries, for example. Bigger share of gold and less share of dollars, and we think that even the amount of our reserves are quite big to withstand all financial scenarios or geopolitical scenarios. And it's our policy to diversify more than maybe other countries our reserves, structure of reserves.
The U.S. military enforces the world reserve currency. It is an active war to ditch the world reserve currency. Russia is ditching the dollar for gold, and the U.S. is responding. Cyber attack after cyber attack, and the U.S. news is consistently reporting Russia is involved. This is the U.S. warning to Russia. Putin is worried about a cyber warfare, and with good reason. In this OMFIF PDF, it states that Russia is working on a digital currency that will be backed by gold. A digital gold-backed ruble on a trustless system like blockchain. Nations around the world are updating to digital currencies and digital assets backed by assets like gold, stocks, commodities. The system is going to be more fragmented, and the use cases for interledger interoperability and XRP, the bridge asset, strengthens in this world.
In your view, should those in the United States who are having these conversations be concerned about that move to digital currencies, that it could undermine the status of the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency? I mean,
we're not concerned about undermining dollars. It's we think that definitely some changes need because the world is changing. Because I think today transaction in dollars is for the first time less than 50%. And we have China economy growing and so on and so forth. But it's definitely, and many more things needs regulations on an intergovernment level, and I think that's one of the area when we also can communicate and talk to Americans and other, because it's a global problem. What to do with this currency, how they will operate. I think that's what we need.
World leaders are negotiating the terms of the next-gen financial system. The world is changing and international regulations are required to move forward. The U.S. benefits from the old system. We're simply maxing out our credit before the transfer. Global taxes, digital identities, financial regulations are being ironed out. Trustless systems that blockchain and crypto offers are key.
Do you or do you not favor a direct response to the hackers? I mean, shut them down, shut their computers down. Could we do that?
Well, you have to hit them very hard. I agree with that. But you also have to get better equipment on our side because, they're getting paid millions of dollars in order not to do what they're doing. Millions and millions of dollars. They hack. They hack somebody out. They do whatever it is that they're going to do, and they get a $5 million. I don't know how the hell they get paid, by the way, so you're going to have to explain that to me.
Well,
you have a great
they get
business
paid
show,
through
one of the truly
Bitcoin.
best. So I think you should explain how do they get paid without getting caught. That's interesting also.
Well, they get paid through Bitcoin. Look, they get paid through Bitcoin, which is supposed to be untraceable.
The currency should be the dollar. And Bitcoin, since I left,
should we regulate Bitcoin?
Well, my opinion is that with the currency of this world should be the dollar. And I don't think we should have all of the Bitcoins of the world out there. I think they should regulate them very, very high. But the currency should be the dollar. And when you have things like that out there, Stuart, what happens is you really lose something. It takes the edge off of the dollar and the importance of the dollar.
Quote, we need to get better equipment on our side. Did you know that the systems that R3 builds are government-approved systems? R3 Corda was identified as meeting NIST standards and therefore being able to be implemented in federal government projects. Former President Trump believes that crypto needs to be regulated very high. I disagree with him, however, I accept this as a likely scenario. Cryptos that are tailored to be compliant will be the winners. The technology offers tremendous benefits, but it will have to go through the proper channels. There is a reason that Bitcoin, like Russia, is being dragged into every cyber attack headline. Global regulations are coming.
I do think that we have to make sure that cryptocurrency succeeds when it succeeds because it's meeting genuine needs for people in the financial system, not because it's serving as a way to keep things secret and avoid paying taxes or avoid reporting money transfers. And so I think that, as with almost any technological innovation, you want to have an environment that is permissive and enables it to succeed, as long as it's succeeding by being better, not succeeding by permitting the circumvention of the law.
Central bankers will often admit that there are pain points in cross-border payments. XRP allows settlement in real time. RippleNet follows all laws and offers international settlement fast and cheap. It will succeed because it meets the genuine need of the financial system.
Today, the European Digital COVID Certificate reassures us of this spirit of an open Europe, a Europe without barriers, but also a Europe that is slowly but surely opening up after a most difficult time, the pandemic. This certificate is a symbol of an open and digital Europe. We developed this certificate in record time. It will make travel in our union easier, and it will give Europeans back the freedoms they value and cherish so much.
The global infrastructure that runs the world is being rebuilt on top of DLT technologies. Distributed ledger platforms have been in the works for years and are now ready to go live. In order for private systems to work, there needs to be an identity component. C19 is a driving force for digital health identities, but digital identities are useful for financial platforms, driver's licenses, legal, health. For the digital euro to work, there needs to be an identity component. It's a basic need for these platforms, and the Internet of Value are the World Wide Web of these platforms.
Over in Russia, the deputy head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is worried that Russia might get iced out of the SWIFT banking settlement system, which is the major payment rails that banks use to move money around the world. And he's saying that Russia should be experimenting with more advanced technology, and he's mentioned blockchain as a potential avenue for that more advanced technology. Now, Russia has been musing with its relationship with SWIFT since 2014, when it was iced out of began to get iced out of the financial system because of the invasion of Crimea. But the blockchain angle might be something new. So, I mean, I'm wondering, amid all this report of, XRP booming, Is there a chance that Russia might be switching to XRP?
Russia is adding gold to their balance sheet and moving forward with the digital ruble, a gold-backed digital currency that can be trusted on a transparent ledger as a threat to the dollar in the SWIFT system. China, Russia, the world is strategically positioning for the dollar's collapse. It is vital for the U.S. to take charge of the next-gen financial system and declare dominance of the Internet of Value.
Now, there's some kind of a cyber attack against a meat processing plant. Next time, they will say there was an attack against some Easter eggs. It's becoming farcical, like an ongoing farcical thing, a never-ending farcical thing. You said plenty of evidence, but you haven't cited any proof, yet again. But this is an empty conversation, a pointless conversation. What exactly are we talking about?
These attacks are going to escalate, and that is by design. Russia will continue inching their way closer to the SWIFT alternative in a gold-backed currency. Everyone is well aware of each other's actions, but there is an end goal. The end goal is a reset. In a world of cyber attacks, nations will update their infrastructure to distributed systems. Private permission systems require all participants to be trusted parties. That may work on a domestic setting like a consortium of banks, but on an international setting, how can Russia share a ledger with China? Or the U.S. share a ledger with China or Russia? This is where crypto fits in. XRP is a trustless asset that is neutral and jurisdictionless. Crypto can be sent from one private system to the next private system, bridging walled gardens.
Pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
NATO has declared cyberspace an area of combat. That means they are planning something. They are preparing something. So obviously, this cannot but worry us.
A cyber attack that brings society to a complete halt. They're preparing for it. They're planning for it. A new Bretton Woods moment. A financial reset to usher in the next-gen financial system. If a problem cannot be solved, enlarge it. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Thank you for liking, watching, and subscribing. If you enjoy my work and wish to support my channel, please consider joining my Patreon. Remember to hit the bell.